Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited to talk about your path to product management. And I wanted to just start out thanking Erica and Amanda for hosting this session and thinking of me. And thank you again for attending. The first thing I wanted to mention is Leland is hosting a giveaway for one of their boot camps. So if you scan the QR code below or use the bit.ly to register, we will announce the winner at the end of the session, I believe. Let us know if you have any questions. And then if you have any questions for me, I will try to get to them this session. We do allow 15-minute phone calls as intro calls with Leland. So if I wasn't able to answer anything you had in the session, feel free to contact me on Leland and happy to talk more as well. But to kick off our session and keep us on time, I'm just going to jump into about myself, but thank you so much for attending this panel today. Anyway, my name is Tori. I'm a current product manager at TikTok. I've been there for about 3 years. Before then, I worked in R&D as a principal product manager at a gaming startup called Skills. And then I was at Google for more than 10 years, where I focused predominantly on R&D and new products like Google Cardboard and Google Lens. My educational background, I studied political science and computer science, and then ended up getting my MBA at Harvard Business School. If anybody has any questions at the end of the session as well, I'm happy to talk about the relevance of an MBA for product managers as well. But on to the next slide. Okay, so as you know, in this job market especially, product management is really competitive. So I think the first thing that we can maybe start out with is really kind of understanding where you start. I don't know where a lot of you are in your interview process or even your upskilling process. I can imagine that maybe a lot of you don't even know where to start. So I basically wanted to go back to basics about product management. So the first thing that I would recommend is really understanding what a product manager does. I've met a lot of people either through interviews or networking or even in graduate school that want to work in tech, and really the only role that they've heard of in tech is product manager. Two issues with that. One is they don't really know what a product manager does. And the other thing is they don't know what other incredible opportunities there are in tech as well. And as you learn more about the role and requirements for being a product manager, you should also look at the role and requirements for being other individuals that touch a product as well. Because not only a product manager works on a product, there's design, there's data science, there's engineering, there's a technical product manager, there's program management. There's so many ways to be involved in building and implementing a product and serving users that I really would encourage you to both, one, understand what a PM does. Is that something that resonates with you and your value systems and your career goals? Is that something that excites you? And if so, really think about, okay, where do I start from there? And if not, what other opportunities are there in tech that might be a great fit for you on both your interests and your background? And so, yeah, the other thing I will mention about being a PM as well is the role has really evolved. So I think it really started out, 15, 20 years ago at places like Google and Yahoo as being, essentially somebody who has a technical background that understands how things are built and is really going to be the advocate for the engineering and design team to stack rank and identify features and implement them. Since then, product management has grown from being technical like a feature PM to being business as well. So community PM, monetization PM, business strategy, operations PM. And you especially see those business side PMs at companies like Zoom and Amazon as well. So there's a whole plethora of PM roles out there, but there are despite them being so different, there are unifying factors that I'll jump into later in this presentation that you should understand, and you should, know what you're getting yourself into if you want to be a PM. So, after you've done some research to understand the tech industry, companies that are hiring, what a PM does, what other support and product roles do, really sit down with that information and be honest with yourself. Does this interest me? What do I want to do? What do I see myself doing? What drives me? And from there, you can kind of be honest and vulnerable and write down your goals and identify, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is the work I am committing to get there. Because in this job market and just the whole evolution of being a product manager, a lot of people build up to that role. There's no right or wrong way to enter it, but maybe in this job market, it might take a little bit longer to get there. And so once you've really searched inside yourself and understood this is what I want to do, make sure you commit to it because it's going to be potentially, a short runway to get there, but it's probably going to be a long road. And so commit to that process, but also enjoy that process because that process and everything you learn along the way is going to make you a better product manager. From there, um, along the realm of looking inside yourself, take a look at your resume and your experience to date and your education and compare it to the product management role and responsibility. What is your data, user, market research, technical skill set like? What do you know and not know? Kind of make a list and compare it to the top roles and requirements for being a PM. And from there, understand, okay, what do I know? How can I hone that more on the job and really have that shine in my resume to drive more impact and show my promise? And maybe what could I upskill on? Like maybe taking a basics of success metrics and data science course to understand how we draw analyses and identify success metrics and maybe identify risks in a product with our users, and go from there and build a plan for yourself. Because again, being a PM is a transformative process. I've had to upskill as well. And that upskilling is both kind of formal education, reading, listening to talks, and also learning by doing through projects. So, the other thing is, along with that, start small. A lot of people think that experience is just getting a job and having that title, to sort of show and demonstrate your impact. But there's so many things you can do along the way that all add up to you gaining that self efficacy and learning while doing. So this ranges from, on your job, can you volunteer for more product like work? Can you help the data science team out? Maybe understanding the user better and looking at weekly success metrics and drawing insights and building recommendations. Is there a rotation program available in your company that you can maybe do part time or full time to learn basics of product management? Are there local organizations and startups that you could work with, to sort of upskill and practice product skills? And can you attend events like hackathons to maybe learn more and network with people? And then the other thing that I recommend doing from day one, especially in this job market, is really understanding the PM interview process. I'm going to jump into this later on in the presentation. It does tend to vary per the company and the role, but there are some unifying frameworks that you should know. And, you don't know the next time you'll get an interview. It could be tomorrow, it could be a month from now, but you have to be ready because the stakes are so high in this job market. So start today. Next slide. Okay, so going back to starting small and really kind of setting yourself up for success as an aspiring PM. So the things that I would really recommend doing in the spirit of prepping for interviews and networking and really making sure that you're ready to take on these opportunities is to really understand, these core things. There's a lot of different aspects of being a PM. There was a lot of different directions I can take because there's so many skills to have, to be a successful PM. But I thought I would sort of group it into these four buckets and I can elaborate from there. So the first one is really mastering the product lifecycle and PM fundamentals. What is that? So it starts out with understanding how products are built from discovery, design, development, launch, iteration. Um, Define the role of a PM from vision setting, prioritization, stakeholder alignment, learning Agile, Scrum, Kanban, other development best practices to know how to set your goals and implement them with design and engineering and other stakeholders from both ideation to public launch and then iteration. Really developing a customer first mindset, understanding users and their pain points. How do you problem solve for them? What tools do you use to understand the user who are using your products? And then, really on the practical end, learn how to write clear product requirement documents, specs, and learn sort of that more XFN practical application of being a PM. Moving on from sort of like the product life cycle of understanding how things work and the role of a PM and how those things work is really developing core skills. This goes back to the previous slide of looking at your current knowledge and your strengths and your gaps, which are just opportunities to upskill on. So, being a PM requires, a lot of skills from technical to analytical to learning things like communication and prioritization. So, you really need to work with a coach or work on your own or with trusted partners to understand what those skill sets are and start gaining your literacy. Technical prowess can include, not only you don't need to necessarily be a coder as a PM, but you do need to understand how things are built. So understanding things like API, system architecture, software development basics. So you can be in a room and ideate and whiteboard with design and engineering and all other stakeholders and advocate for the product with business XFN as well. You need to learn about product success metrics like DAO, MAU, WOW, retention, conversion, churn, NPS. These are all things that we use as PMs all along the product life cycle to improve it. You need to understanding best practices like A/B testing, experimentation frameworks, causal inference basics. You need to master things like competitive analysis, understand industry trends, market research, user segmentation. What are we building and why? And you need to really develop, your understanding of data-driven decision making as well. Going on to excelling in cross-functional leadership and strategic thinking, being a PM, I think one of the mistakes about thinking what a PM is thinking that it's the CEO of a product. I think a PM is more so being like conductor of an orchestra because you don't have direct reports. People are not reporting up to you. You're not owning the product per se. You are sort of shepherding, and condensing strategy and aligning with XFN and building something that we will align on and implement. And you're the person that's going to make sure that it's successfully implemented. So you need to really develop strong collaboration skills with engineering, design, marketing, and sales. You need to really master stakeholder management from aligning incentives, influencing without authority. And a part of that is remembering a good leader is somebody that really values all different inputs and gives people the space to voice them, but also really does a good job at stack ranking and inferencing and building a recommendation from there. A good leader is not going to be the loudest person in the room. They're going to listen and they're going to build recommendations from listening. Other things include cultivating adaptability, building resilience and grit as well. So handling setbacks, learning from failures. Your product will fail a lot. How do you bounce back from that and really improve your communication skills? And then lastly, building your product acumen by doing the work. So there's only so much you're going to learn about being a product manager by reading about it, by taking a course, by watching videos. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, really learn by doing. Roll up your sleeves. You're not going to learn so much by, again, like being a consumer, be a creator. Put these things into practice. Volunteer, attend hackathons, volunteer to do work in your current company or team that's PM like. Because you will be tested in different ways through doing product work where you realize the rigors of the role and you're going to wear multiple hats and you have to roll up your sleeves and really do anything for the sake of the product. And you learn that by doing it. Next slide. Okay, so say that you've been doing all this work, and I'm sure a lot of you have been, and you've been networking and you've been applying to so many roles, and now you finally have an opportunity to make yourself known and let yourself shine. And I will say it, the stakes are really high because in this job market, after all the layoffs that have occurred the past couple of years, there's a lot of people applying for one role. If you look on LinkedIn, I've seen roles that have been posted like 2 days ago and 4,000 people applied. So you need to really do the work to make sure you're as prepared as you can possibly be, because this might be your only chance with that company. And if you don't get the role, sometimes you can't apply for another year. I'm not saying this at all to scare you. I'm saying this for you to be excited about the preparation process because it's actually really fun to prepare for these interviews. And preparing for these interviews, actually, a lot of the frameworks and requirements to interview at these companies actually reflect a lot of what you'll be doing in the job too. So it's really good practice. So, my recommendations are kind of top level four of them. One is why us? Understand the company and the role. Every company is a little bit different. Like I mentioned as well, every product role might be different. It might be a technical product manager. It might be more business side product manager. You might be working on R&D on the technical side, or you might be working on B2B or B2C. What are the recommendations that they list after the job posting? Do you match them? If you don't, and if you really want this role, how do you upskill and gain that relevant experience? And then the other thing about understanding the company, yeah, I think everyone probably wants to work at a big tech company right now, but not many people can really speak to why they want to work there beyond the brand name. You're really going to make yourself an asset if you do the work to understand, why does this company exist? What is the mission and value systems? What type of people choose to work there? What is the working culture? What are the product principles that guide their top products? What has succeeded and not succeeded and why from this company? Really reflect on that and match it to your own desires and value systems. Only then can you really understand why you want to have this role at this company. Next thing is really kind of mastering the PM frameworks. So there's quite a few frameworks that are bounced around depending on the company or the role. There are quite a few unifying ones, and I'll introduce you to maybe the top four or five, but it's not limited to this. So the first one is product sense and design. So example questions of that include, how would you improve X product? Design a new feature for Y user segment. If you were launching a product for X market, how would you approach it? So, some great ways to prepare. Again, a coach can work with you on all these things, but some common methods include the circles method, analyzing real products, like on your free time. Look at popular Amazon, Google, or Apple products. What do you like about them? What do you not like about them? What users do they serve? How would you improve them? Read a lot of teardown blogs like Lenny's newsletter and growth.design. And then practice these product improvement frameworks in real time. Think about usability, differentiation, technical feasibility for products that you're seeing in the news. The next a type of question is often execution or analytical thinking. So examples include, and if engagement dropped by 20% on X feature, what would you do? What were the reasons behind that? How would you prioritize between feature A and feature B? What metrics would you track for X product? So there's a lot of ways to prepare for that. Again, a coach can walk you through this, but high level, learning key PM metrics, practice structured debugging, identifying causes, hypotheses, testing solutions, using prioritization frameworks, and maybe, like upskill with your analytic knowledge as well. The third one is strategy and market analysis. Examples include, should Amazon enter the fitness tracker market? Or how would you grow X product internationally? What's a business you admire and how would you improve it? Some ways to prepare for that, maybe study market analysis, TAM, SAM, SOM, competitors, learn business models, follow tech industry news and trends. And the last popular question type includes behavioral and leadership questions. So examples include, tell me about a time you influenced without authority, or describe a time you had to manage competing stakeholder interests. If anybody's interviewed recently for a PM role or a TPM role at Amazon, it's all about the STAR method and behavioral. So I would recommend looking on their website, actually. That's a great starting point. Look at the STAR method, look at your resume, think about examples in which you've been tested, which you had to work with XFN, which you had to really implement a change at the last minute, when you had to resolve a problem in a short period of time. And, for a lot of these examples, don't forget, just like you would on your resume, show the impact as well in your results. The last thing that sorry, moving on from that, put all that into practice with mock interviews. So you can either practice with others, Exponent, Slack, LinkedIn has a lot of features where you can get randomly paired with people and practice mock interviews. You can also go online and learn more about these frameworks. You could watch mock interviews on YouTube and TikTok as well. One thing I would really advise you on is just be careful who you do mock interviews with. That's sort of the beauty of having a coach as well who has relevant experience, knows the frameworks, is not afraid to give you feedback. Be careful interviewing with friends and family. They may be biased and only point out the positives and not things to improve. And be careful to not do mocks with people that maybe don't have PM experience as well. They may not know how to provide feedback. And then just, top level, remember, ensure you're concise. Don't lose the interviewer through the process. And then, sometimes it's not about the answer you give, it's how you get there. They're often testing how you think through a problem and how creative you were and maybe how adaptive you are, because they might cut you off and have you go in a different direction. In order to do that, you need to build the muscle memory and practice. Only through practicing can you be confident and be yourself. And by being yourself, you can be creative and adaptive and adaptive as well and be successful in these interviews. And my last piece of advice is, yeah, applying all your learning in mock interviews in your day to day. Think about what it means to be a PM. What's important? What do you practice to solve a problem? Are you doing this in your current role? Are you doing this in volunteer work? How can you really, again, learn by doing and think more about these frameworks and why they're important as well? Next slide. Just going to take a coffee break so I can catch my breath. So, tip four involves common mistakes to avoid during the recruitment process. So, there's a lot of things. Again, for the sake of brevity, I'm focusing on these top five things. One is really work on your first impression with somebody, particularly with a screener, a recruiter, a hiring manager who reaches out to you. Make sure you know the company's interview process and expectations. Make sure you're not giving a cliche or a vague answer as to why X company, why Y role, why this product. And also, this goes back to really practicing your voice. Don't ramble, don't say, don't jump straight into the answer. Just really take the time to breathe and enjoy the conversation. And you can do this through connecting with your past experiences, understanding the expectations of the role in the company, and really making sure you're showing your passion for building impactful products. The other common mistake I see is really not networking thoughtfully. I see a lot of LinkedIn requests where somebody will write, "Hey, refer me to this job, please." Or, "Hey, can you call me? I want to work at your company." Really step back and think about how you can be more thoughtful. These are people who you're talking to, and they're busy. And I'm sure a lot of them will love to help you out, but it's all about how you approach it. So, some of the common things I've seen that you should avoid potentially are maybe cold connecting without context. So, sending random LinkedIn requests without a message, only targeting senior leaders. So, only networking with VP and directors and ignoring the, mid level and entry level employees who probably are in the weeds of building things and are really valuable to get to know. Um, Asking for a job right away. Be curious about who they are. Maybe join a panel they're speaking on. Maybe review an article that they posted to their LinkedIn and comment on it. Ask about their experience. Be invested in who they are and what they do and not what they can provide you. And then, yeah, not doing your homework before reaching out, not understanding who they are, asking vague questions like, what does a product manager do? And then making networking one sided. So, this is really a two-sided relationship. And maybe a part of the value you provide them is you know, supporting the talks they're giving, the work that they're posting on LinkedIn, showing how much you appreciate them by researching their background, really making sure this is about relationship building and not just a one-sided relationship. And then also, I would be careful with where you seek advice. I see this a lot on LinkedIn in particular. There's a lot of LinkedIn influencers out there that are writing posts in a way that are sort of a means for you to buy their product. Sometimes the frameworks and the advice they give, I personally don't agree with. And perhaps it's rooted in research they did versus actual real world experience they had. And so I would just be really careful with where you're seeking advice, who you're following. Take the time to look beyond the shine of influencers and start watching developer talks and product talks like Google I/O. Who is building the products that you care about? Follow them on LinkedIn. Watch the talks and read the articles that they're posting. Go on YouTube and follow people like Diane Yao, who writes really great insights about being a product manager. Just be holistic in terms of who you admire and who you follow. And then along that too, admire people's opinions on Stack Overflow, on Reddit product forums, on LinkedIn. Be excited about what people are working on and how they think about current events and product management. And then another thing to be careful of is like, going back to our first slide, really understand what you're getting yourself into. Don't be attracted to the hype of tech, to the hype of being a PM. A lot of the time, this is mundane work. You have to really love the users you're serving, the team you're collaborating with, the product that you're building. A lot of the time, it's rolling up your sleeves and putting out fires. It's nice to have the end goal of a successful product, but it's not about that. It's about everything from ideation to launching that product. So I get a little weary when I see startups and people that are attracted to the cult of personality of Steve Jobs. Dig a little bit deeper and think about the beauty of building a product and everything that entails. And know what you're getting into and knowing that your job is mainly going to be that with some, like peaks and valleys along the way. And yeah, and then not expanding what networking is. Like I talked about before, networking doesn't have to just be bound to online LinkedIn's. It can be going to hackathons, to conferences, to talks, to panels like this, and connecting with people and having conversations and learning from them. So, really broaden your understanding of what it is to participate in tech and learn more about it. And then, tip 5, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, my final advice, and then we will go into Q&A. So, like I said before, really step back and think about, is product management right for you? It's not right for everybody. And there might be roles out there that Leland coaches can help you out with that are equally as important to a product and will give you such a wonderful experience in tech. So really do your research and your homework. Is this what you want? Don't compromise the process. I think in this job market, play the long game. Start now, learn about current events, learn about companies you admire, how things are built, learn the basics of being a PM, put that into practice. And every day, even if it's for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, practice your mock interviews and those PM frameworks, watch mock interviews. Be ready when that opportunity comes, but never stop learning as well. And then, yeah, like I said before, start small. It's baby steps to your goals. You're not always going to get the AI product manager at Google right away. Maybe it's something that seems less exciting, but it's actually so wonderful. And you're going to learn so much on the job. So don't feel like anything is beneath you as well. Just like being a PM, you have to roll up your sleeves and wear multiple hats. Sometimes you start with a smaller scale role and you get to learn how things are built and you prove yourself and you build up from there. And I think honestly, that is the best position to be in. And then, yeah, part of being a PM is appreciating the risks and the wins and the rewards and the tough times. You have to have grit and adversity in building a product. And same thing with getting a job as well. Maintain that grit and adversity, see the beauty in adversity, keep going, because the most successful people I've seen were not handed anything. If they were handed something, they may not be successful because then they have to prove themselves. So don't compare yourself to other people. Look, I'm a first gen student. I'm the first in my family to go to college. I tried very hard and got into a trap when I compared myself to peers who was not raised like I was. Don't compare yourself. Be proud of yourself. Understand your strengths and what to improve on, and keep going. And with that, good luck on your product management search. I'm so excited for you. Again, we're gonna talk about the PM recruiting boot camp. Amanda, did you want to mention anything about that?
I don't have much to say, just that we'll show the link here. There's a bit.ly. I'll show a slide in a minute that has our course outline of what you'd be receiving with the boot camp, if you're a free giveaway winner. And we'll also have an exclusive discount code for everyone that signs out or fills out the boot camp giveaway document that will be exclusive and ends tonight. So.
Great. Okay, and just a heads up, Leland, I love Leland because not only does it connect me with like great ambitious individuals like yourself, but there's so much learning to be done on the platform. So they do a great job of having courses, boot camps, other panels. So here's a preview in the previous slide. And then don't forget, rather don't remember, don't forget to enter to win, to attend the boot camp as well. Remember, fill out that bit.ly, and then we will announce the winner as well. And I think we can move on to open Q&A now. So Amanda, are people going to post their question in the chat?
Yeah, so we have
Okay,
about 10 minutes for Q&A. I think you've already had some questions filing into the chat. So if you want
okay,
to go from there, and then as a reminder, any questions that don't get answered today, we'll have one more QR code to Tori's profile, and feel free to set up an intro call with her, and she can help talk through the coaching process and answer any questions you may have.
okay. So the first question I see is, how is related your scope of work to the technical skills? Does having software engineering experience significantly help? Okay, yeah. So I think when I became a PM, um, at least at my company, it was required that you had to be a software engineer. That's changed, of course, because the PM role is really broad now. I think roles that used to be business development, like monetization and community, are now product manager roles. So it's not required for you to code or to be an engineer, but you should understand basics of CS, how things are built, technical implications to things like, um, you know, even little things like the life of a search query, because you're going to be working intimately with technical stakeholders and you have to advocate for their needs. And especially if you're working on features as well, you have to understand how things are built, what the development process is, what technical risks are, and advocate for those. So, I'm not saying that you need to be an engineer or have a computer science degree, but in order to understand how things are made and to properly develop and execute them and look at opportunities and risks, it is very beneficial for you to learn, again, fundamentals of CS. I would even, start out small if you're scared. MIT has an on like really fun, almost like a visual scripting language called Scratch that you can start out with and build like your own like game or music video. And from there you can start out with like Python or JavaScript, and then really learn about, history of computer science, and basic things like APIs. And from there, also on the operations side, principles of product development as well, from like anywhere from the operations of sprint cycles to how we actually build the features as well. What is prod? How do you implement things? So those are all really exciting things to learn, and I would really recommend that you start out kind of sinking your teeth into those. But no, I'm not saying that you need to be a software engineer to be a product manager. Um, okay, so okay, will the recording be made available to attendees? Yep, they will be emailed to you, I believe. And then, are there any hackathons you suggest? Usually most are coders. Actually, so a lot of companies have their own hackathons. Like Google used to have that, and they would accept technical and non-technical people because there's ideation, there's big picture things, there's supporting the development and implementation process. Meetup has a lot of hackathons. There's also civic tech meetups as well in almost every major city. And that's kind of like a great mixture of technical and non technical individuals that just want to solve kind of like common social problems. So that might be a great place to start, but just don't be a friend, don't be afraid to attend them. The worst thing that can happen is like maybe there isn't a project available to you, but chances are, I'm sure like engineers would love the product support as well. And you can probably just learn by even watching how the hackathons occur. Um, okay, so as a master's student, how can I stand out among all the MBA candidates who are applying for the same role? Um, I don't, okay, master's student. I don't know what master's you're getting, but I would say, same thing for all masters, even an MBA. I think that there's certain, again, go back to the fundamentals of being a PM, and you can upskill on those on your own, both through self-efficacy of learning on the job and taking courses and just upskilling yourself. And that includes, yeah, data analysis, market understanding. With that, I would say my MBA was really helpful from like a financial analysis standpoint. I was weak in market analysis of understanding the potential of a company and its revenue. And so for me, and concepts of product growth and monetization, that's something I upskilled on with my MBA. But those are things that you can easily upskill on your own. So, go back to the basics of being a PM. So think about things like, yeah, technical understanding the market and how to analyze it, both from a data science perspective, but also maybe a financial analysis and user understanding. And then also from like a business and operations standpoint, how do things work? How do things function? How are things organized, including in sprint cycles when you're ideating, stack ranking, and building a product? You don't need an MBA to be a product manager. I think that there tends to be a lot of MBAs who become product managers just because a lot of MBA curriculum has those holistic principles in it. But again, you can upskill and learn those things on your own as well. Um, are there any hackathons? Oh, sorry. What are some of the other entry level roles that will give me a break into product management? Great question. I think this goes back down to um, my thought about there's so many roles that touch product. And in this job market as well, you may not get a product manager role right away, but I actually think that's such a great opportunity to learn how things are built and maybe a safer, less pressured environment. So I've seen a lot of people transition in tech into product management um, in a variety of ways. From like a technical standpoint, I've seen a lot of software engineers and technical program managers, and those are individuals who manage sprints, make sure we launch on time, work really hand in hand with engineering and product as the right hand man or woman or person to make sure that the product is implemented. Being a program manager is great for people who are, maybe less technical and want to learn the basics of building something and supporting a product. And, during that time, you can upskill as well. I've seen a lot of data science workers as well, anywhere from being a data engineer to a data scientist or analyst, or even somebody that works in user research become a product manager because they've been able to harness a lot of the core skills again to transition into product. And for anything that they might be missing, they get to upskill and learn on the job as well. So I would, if you're non-technical and don't have a data background or don't, maybe have like a market background, maybe program management. If you are interested in marketing, there's product marketing managers as well. If you have more of a technical background, again, like being a SWE or a TPM or a data engineer is a great idea. But yeah, there's so many ways to enter product. And I think those roles actually might make you an even better product manager. So be excited about those opportunities as well. Okay, so which hackathons can a beginner practice? I have worked in 2 startups in 4 months. I Is this good enough for APM roles? Okay, so this is about associate product manager rotations. So if you're still in school, they have internships. I know some companies are still hiring for them. I think the cutoff is soon. And then there's APM rotation programs that they either accept people who are currently members of the company or new entrants as well. So like Meta, Google, Amazon have APM programs. Um, all of them have different requirements. I know for most of them, for an APM, it's 2 years or less out of college after undergrad or the equivalent education. But take a look at the website. I think they're looking for people who are really early in their career. It's a plus if you have startup experience, that's wonderful, and you're involving yourself in ways like hackathons. But take a look at those requirements. Typically, the bar is 2 years or less out of college. Um, how would you recommend tech entrepreneurs uh, to best position themselves for PM roles? And uh, and what can you do if your previous experience in a country is different from the one you are applying the PM role in? Yeah, I think this goes back down to my the previous answer I gave as well of there's a lot of ways to gain product experience. I don't know when you say entrepreneur what your role is per se, but if you're able to show that you're practicing fundamentals of product management, that you've managed a product, that you've shepherded an idea to users, that you have proven impact as well in a product, that's a good start. I don't know what your experience is, from school or from education, but I think my recommendation might be quite similar to ones I've given previously as well. Of think about how you have demonstrated product like impact already and make sure that shines in your resume. And then also be really open for different types of PM roles and different types of roles in tech as well. Because you may not get the role that you want, but you could certainly work up your way. And all those opportunities are just opportunities to upskill as well. Do you
Hey,
think,
Tori. Oh,
yeah,
wanted to flag to you, we may have time to take one more question and then we can wrap up and announce our giveaway winner and
okay,
link to your profile one more time so we can close out
yeah.
today.
That sounds great. I am so happy to get all these questions. I wish I could answer them all. I'm just going to randomly choose one. There's a ton of PM interview resources, but quality differs. Do you have specific ones you recommend? I it again, it depends on the role. There are a few. There's a few creators I recommend, but I think the most thorough website I've seen. Again, this is my own experience. This doesn't mean that it's the right answer. I really do enjoy how user friendly Exponent is and how they've done a great job of really slicing depending on the type of product role and the company. They also have really wonderful mock interviews on YouTube that you could watch as well, depending on the company and the role. And they also match you, I think, twice a day randomly with other people who want to mock interview. With that, I would just be careful because sometimes if you're mock interviewing with somebody also practicing for interviewing, you may not be able to give and receive advice or the type of advice to improve your interview process. And again, that's how a coach, like a Leland coach, can really help you. But I think to start out, Exponent has like a great starting point of like, what is a PM? Like, what are these roles? How are they different at X company? And they have examples on YouTube. But that's kind of just really scratching the surface. But yeah, with that, yeah, happy to chat with you more if you add time to my Leland schedule. And I hope you all found this to be helpful. But again, my bottom line is just keep going. It's a tough job market. Don't take it personally. And just if you have that grit and if you're going to be excited about the role, um, I think you'll get there in time. But just view this as a marathon, not a sprint. But I believe, Amanda, we're going to call the winner to the boot camp raffle.
Yeah, so I just sent it in the chat. Leslie Nootboom, I hope I'm saying that correctly. You're our giveaway winner, and our team will be in touch via email soon. Thank you all to who entered the giveaway. You should receive a text from Andrew, with your exclusive discount code, and feel free to ask him any questions you may have. He's there on the other end of the phone and happy to answer any questions you may have. And thank you again, Tori, for hosting such an incredible session today.
Thank you so much for hosting me. I appreciate it. And thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Good luck. I'm sure you'll be great and just keep trying.